We don't curse here.
No. Okay. Okay, green light's on. Welcome to the Garden of the Spirit, a class studying apples from the orchard. This class meets in Long Meadow, Massachusetts, the center of the universe, and is held in memory of Malka Ruth Bas Moshe, Margaret Vogel of blessed memory. Apples from the Orchard contains selections of teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. Adult materials. Mature mature audience, mature foundation in Torah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, who's going to leave?
Let's go.
Okay.
Thanks for meeting tonight.
Page 623. One of the... Yeah, thanks everyone for changing our date. We're meeting tonight instead of tomorrow night.
We could all be here. It's nice.
So, yeah, we're in Kedosh, that too. First time we're at full strength. Parsha Kedoshim, which I mentioned, is like a laundry list of mitzvahs. And one of them is not to wear something called shatnez. The Torah really doesn't define shatnez. It says that beged kilayim, a garment of mixtures. We know that shatnez is wool and linen together. I'm sorry, it does say. It says elsewhere that it defines that shatnez is wool and linen together. A little bit of a strange mitzvah. It's one of the mitzvahs that's considered chukim, that don't have a reason. It is, that doesn't have a reason in our
capability of understanding.
Yeah, in our sense of reason, and within our realm of logic, someone showed me years ago. Person did spinning. They take wool and they spin it themselves into thread, and they showed me a book they had talked about I think the Scottish would make material from wool and linen. It has the best qualities of both. So there are cultures that would have wool and linen mixed because apparently it makes a superior fabric. But in any case, so we are prohibited against this. Page 623. Are we all set? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Alan, begin.
Wool and linen, Havel and Kain. You shall not wear a garment of mixed species woven together. This is the commandment not to mix wool and linen. This mixture is known as shatnez in garments. The prohibition against shatnez is explained in the context of the mystical dimension of the sin of Kain and Havel. In this context, the mystical essence of wool and linen and their place in the spiritual hierarchy is also explained. Kain and Havel were the sons of Adam and Chava. After the expulsion from Gan Eden, Kain worked as a farmer and Havel as a shepherd. Kain brought Hashem an offering of his plants and Havel an offering of his flocks. But Hashem accepted only Havel's offering. There are a number of explanations why this was so, but here the explanation focuses on the fact that Kain's offering was of flax.
Okay, so flax then, what?
Flax is the lowest.
The lowest?
The
lowest plant that was being
But it
produced.
has omega-3.
Well, it's still the lowest. It's still the lowest.
Only if you're eating it, but not when they were using it.
The seed. No,
The seed.
The
no.
seed is the lowest of the lowest.
What? What
Of
do
the
you mean lowest?
plants. Of the plants.
In what way?
In terms of corn versus flax versus wheat versus
Quality.
flax quality, it's got a weaker sense to it, and a weaker value.
In other words, if he was a true, he was planting things,
If he's a farmer,
It's a farmer.
he could-
That's the
he
cheapest.
Could plant,
That's
he
the
could
cheapest.
plant-
That's the cheapest.
Yeah,
It's the cheapest because it grows. It probably grows more readily.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be
Plentiful.
Yeah, it's more plentiful. So you can.
But it has a superior. But it itself is a very the fiber.
No, flax
No,
is
quality.
is on the lower
is low
range
quality.
compared to wheat or compared to
You can't
corn.
eat flax. You
Huh?
can't eat flax. You can eat flax seeds, but
But
you
you have
can't.
okay.
You can't make
So I'm just
garments.
pointing-
I'm with Gershon. Flaxseed oil.
But
Flaxseed,
so
yeah,
do you
I'm
make
also
fiber
into
like?
flaxseed oil.
No, it's considered on the.
Okay.
I'm playing.
The cheapest.
All right.
At that
So
point,
linen is
you can't eat
cotton?
it.
You
so-
can't.
No,
eat it.
linen is flax.
It's linen is flax.
Yeah, lino. Yeah,
Yeah, linen. Yeah,
I used to paint wood.
but it's not.
Outside
it's
it.
not.
This is before they-
wheat is,
This
wheat
is before they had it as
primary
linen,
and-
though.
and wheat, corn, those are the top crops.
Oh, all right.
All right.
It is known that our sages said that if someone leases his field to another person for under 7 years, the latter should not sow it with flaxseed. The reason for this is explained in the Talmud, because flax depletes the power of the soil, and it takes 7 years to replenish it.
So if you want to do it to your own land,
It's like soy.
that's your business. But
Right.
but not to do it to
A
someone
land-
else's.
Right.
It's what?
It's like soy. It just sucks everything right out.
Well, but soy puts back because of the bacteria. Puts back.
Yeah, it still has a plant. It just
nitrogen.
sucks it out.
How about-
That's why they always, what's the word? When
fertilize
they plant, no, when they plant soy, they'll have corn
to rotate.
to rotate.
Rotate?
They would-
We're on that hierarchy
Corn
of
puts it
like
back in, the soy sucks it out.
on that hierarchy. Where does fennel end up?
Fennel.
I thought
Okay.
it grew wild at home.
Grew wild at home.
Fennel's not a grain.
Fennel is an herb. When anything's a herb.
Right.
All right.
A bulb.
It's like 12 on the list. Yeah, 13.
I thought it was a restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depends if you like licorice.
Our sages,
I don't.
our sages further called the flax plant a type of tree because it is written and hide amongst the flaxwood.
What's that? The
Sure.
yeah. After Moshe died, Yoshua sent 2 spies to Jericho, Pinchas and Kalev, and they were really bad spies.
It's best.
That is the theme. They were really bad, and they still did fine. So they said, we could be the gang that couldn't shoot
Right.
straight. We'll take Yericho. So right away they came in. They came in disguised, and yet they were somehow or other found out, and the place where they came in, what they call it, hotelier.
The lady.
Yeah, IER, hotelier, right?
Yeah.
The owner
Yeah.
said to them, "Go hide in the flax
wood.
wood." Apparently, they would
That was outside.
dry it out on the roof, put it on the
Oh,
roof
okay.
To dry it out.
to desiccate. That's the word.
Yeah, same
It's a
thing.
big
Huh?
word.
Dry it out and desiccated the same thing.
Okay.
Big word, yeah.
Hmm.
It's a big word you just used. Dustin.
Yeah.
They didn't have a
I don't get
decanter
you
to
to
put
use
it
it
into.
very much.
DESC.
Decanter.
A desiccator.
But this again.
A
So
desiccator.
they and that was actually one
The
of
roof is a
them.
desiccator.
The other one wasn't needed, didn't have
Solid.
to hide, because he had in the original invisibility cloak.
Pinchas, yeah.
Pinchas,
Pinchas, yeah.
had the invisibility cloak, and he was all see. He didn't need to hide. Okay, so therefore, this is a type of tree. Okay,
All right.
go ahead.
Mystically, the power of the earth the above statement refers to is the inner power of the sphere of Malchus, as it is written, an offering to Hashem from the fruit of the earth.
That is Cain's
Yeah.
offering, an offering to Hashem from the fruit of the earth.
One of the appellations of Malchus is the earth, since Malchus is the lowest sephira and thus the ground level of each world. Additionally, the divine energy of the higher spheres is sown in the ground of Malchus, producing produce in the next world down.
Wow.
Know that all vegetation and trees are manifestations of Malchus of Yetzirah. The four worlds, Asilas, Berea, Yetzirah, and Asiya, correlate relatively to the four kingdoms of creatures: man, animal, vegetable, and mineral. Thus, the vegetable kingdom is rooted in the world of Yetzirah. Thematically, this is because Yetzirah is the world of the emotions, which grow and mature by virtue of the light of the intellect that shines on them. Since the vegetable kingdom is allegorically the world of Yetzirah, the ground in which the plant life grows is allegorized as the Malchus of Yetzirah.
Yetzirah. Okay. Wow. Keep. Well done,
I'll
please.
take his word for it.
Hmm?
I'll take his word.
Wait.
That's nice, you.
The Malchus is also known as the feminine aspect, and Tiferes in particular as the central sphere of Za, of the six spheres.
Masculine.
Tiferes is the masculine aspect, and just like you have it in people, male and female, and when it comes to planting in the ground, so the seeds that go into the ground are the male aspect. The ground itself is the female aspect that whatever you call it. It nurtures the seed. It acts upon the seed, and transforms it into a new plant.
It grows it.
It grows it.
It grows it also, yeah. Like
Yeah.
the female.
Develops
It develops it.
the seeds inside into a human being. It's vegetables. Okay,
Like a lima bean?
lima bean.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a human being.
A human bean also.
All right, Jim, would like to continue?
The power of the earth is a spirit that Tiferet leaves in her when he first makes her into a vessel. The sages say that woman makes a covenant only with the one who turns her into a vessel, that is, with her first husband, who deflowers her and makes her into a vessel to receive his semen. The sages here allude to the psychological transformation that occurs within the woman when she first experiences marital relations, which will be partially elucidated in this passage, in which this spirit is identified as Das. Tiferet here refers to Zeir Anpin in general, Malchut to Nukva.
The power of. Okay. So there's a change in the person, and in the earth too.
Earth
The
becomes
power
a
of the
vessel.
earth.
Malchus,
Yeah.
It says more than that. It says that it's that flax. That's represented by flax.
Which is fruit of the earth.
Corresponds to flax. This idea
of
of the first one.
Yeah.
And all right. So page 625 at the top.
Fruit of the womb instead of fruit of the loom.
Fruit of the loom or fruit of the womb?
Fruit of the womb is.
Okay. Specifically, it is the 52 name, and it is in her Yesod. This is why it is called a tree. As been mentioned previously, the inner energy of Nukva is the 52 name of Hashem, the name Havaya spelled out, such that the numerical value is 52.
So the four that we focused on, and there are others, but the four that we focused on are 72 at the top, then 63, then 45, and then 52. So that 45 corresponds to Za, and 52 is the lowest,
Malchus.
even though it's not the lowest number. 52 corresponds to Malchus.
Nukva. Now, Cain elevated the letters used to spell out this 52 name, Present and Malchus, up to Tiferet as feminine water. We talked about that before. The sin was this name must remain always in Malchus in order to rise as feminine water. Raise. In order to raise feminine water, so that Malchut can receive the supernal light as male water, both of them remaining within her. Male water and feminine water are the Kabbalistic idioms from the arousal from above and the arousal from below. As we have seen previously, the female principle innately yearns for union with the male in order to combine the female drive for concretization of divine consciousness in the world with the male drive for an ever more abstract and sublime level of divine consciousness in oneself. Without rejuvenation from the male, the female loses inspiration and succumbs to the gravitational pull of the very material reality she seeks to conquer.
We've talked about this idea of concretization and abstract, but that last sentence, I think it's the first time that I've seen this
pull?
explanation. That without rejuvenation or without the response from the male, the arousal from above, or the male waters, masculine waters, the female loses inspiration and succumbs to the gravitational pull of the material reality that she initially seeks to conquer. So, okay, so it has to have that response. Yeah, and without it, it's swing.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's us. It's nothing but air, and it gets pulled down.
Pull down. Yeah.
Okay. So
Is that-
Cain elevated the letters, and he's trying to bring Malchus up to Tiferes.
It's nothing to do with directly. It's okay. Keep going.
So,
Please.
Cain did not simply intend to raise feminine water, but to remove it from Nukva entirely, returning it all the way to its source, to Zer Anpin itself. Aha.
Uh-oh.
Cain sought to make the female into a male, so to speak, forsaking the divine mission and destiny as the drive to concretize divine consciousness in the world, and remaining in the abstract realm of Zeranpin, the emotions per se.
He wanted to change its mission, change its focus.
He wanted it to be not male water, really, because male water is to go down. He wanted to take up.
So he wanted to take the female into male.
Into the male.
He wanted to use a hammer as a screwdriver,
Correct.
Yeah.
right? He wanted to use pliers as a drill.
Correct.
I mean,
Yep.
this female, it belongs in
Nukva.
Nukva, and he was trying to change that and raise the 52 name up to Tiferes. Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Rudy, are you going to read tonight? Yoel?
Sure.
Okay.
This.
This is
And
the
so,
mis-
and so he, how did he do this? He took flax, and he offered he grew the flax, and he offered the flax as an offering to Hashem. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think before he said the first, at the bottom of 624, that it's the spirit that Tiferes leaves in her when he first makes her into a vessel. I think he's saying that flax became the first plant. Whether it actually was, or something, or whether actually they were growing wheat or not, this represents the first
First offering.
plant,
First offering.
first offering certainly,
First offering.
but it could be it was in a way it was the first. It's what softened up the ground. The first.
the difference, because Hubble, when
Yeah, but he doesn't take her. He doesn't make her into a vessel. Cain.
No, but the ground is made is first.
Yeah, it's a first tree. But
Yield.
he takes her away from being a vessel. He robs her of that piece.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Which is the imbalance.
That's what he says here. Okay, Yoel. All yours.
This is the mystical analog of flaxseed that depletes the power of the earth for 7 years. The power of the earth is this 52 name, which is the inner divine power of Malchut. Flaxseed depletes the power of all the 7 lower sphirot within her, alluded to here as 7 years.
That what? Okay, so flaxseed depletes or weakens the 7 spheres in it. All right, bottom of 625.
And the earth.
Flaxseed depletes its power.
And the earth. It depletes the earth,
Yeah.
which is the key. It's depleting the earth. Again, I keep going back. It robs the feminine. I can't think of another term. Robs. It takes it away from its proper place.
Okay, let's go ahead.
This is the mystical meaning of the verse, and Cain brought from the fruits of the earth, meaning from the produce that is termed the fruit of the earth, because it saps all the power of the earth, removing it from it and depleting it. Indeed, this is how our sages concluded that Cain's offering was flaxseed.
How?
Because that's what flaxseed does. That's the point.
It saps the earth.
It saps the earth. It takes away the earth.
Malchus
Malchus is the earth. It takes it away.
It depletes the minerals.
It
Depletes
depletes,
the min-
the
yeah. Depletes the minerals.
And this type of action was an improper action. Again, it robbed the feminine and tried to make it male. And the process is twofold. One, it affects the male, and two, it affects the earth.
This is how, because the Torah calls it the
Unbelievable
fruit
evil.
or produce of
Unbelievable
the
evil.
earth, that's how our sages concluded that it was flax,
I understand, but
because it's the produce that saps the power, or that saps the power of the earth.
it yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Yoel.
Cain offered this plant as an offering to God, i.e. to Zer Anpin, returning it to its source and leaving Malchut bereft of the 52 name. This was Cain's sin. The word for God in this verse is the name Havaya, which generally refers to Zer Anpin. Thus, Cain sought to elevate the flaxseed, the inner vitality of Malchut, to Zer Anpin, instead of keeping it in Malchut, so that it could inspire Zer Anpin to couple with it on its own level.
Okay, that's what he said before. Okay.
I'm just trying to. I'm reading it and then I want to understand it.
Yeah. Yes.
Havel then attempted to rectify Cain's error and brought an offering of wool. The mystical explanation of this is as follows.
Okay, so before we get to the explanation, I just want to repeat that Cain sought to change the 52 name of Malchus into Tiferes. He sought to change the feminine principle into the masculine principle. And this is represented in the flax seed. Because flax saps the power of the earth. And here too, he sought to change it from its inner vitality of Malchus and make it instead to Ze'er Anpin.
Yeah. Take the hay and make it a vav.
In which case, it really would not be capable of
Creative process
a union.
of union. It can't have any union. It can't have any oneness. It's more self-oriented in a way.
We're going to turn everyone into hunters. We won't have any gatherers. No one will be home to make dinner.
It's so bad. That's all right.
I'll double it.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to see what Hevel was doing. Gershon,
What are we?
626 in the middle.
The source of das that Zerampin imparts down to Nukba is in the supernal das of the beloved, Mazel, as is known. Okay. The word Mazel refers in Kabbalah to the specific flow of divine energy, particular to 13 such flows that constitute the beard of Arihampim. These are known generally as the 13 attributes of divine mercy. The 8th and 13th are the super-rational source of Abba and Ima, the Parsufin of Chokmah and Bina. Yeah, we see these. You saw this.
Do you remember this?
Yeah,
The beard.
And we also had mazel.
Mazel.
Yeah.
The word mazel means
drip.
to drip.
Drip down.
Yeah. And we talked about that
Drip.
mazel doesn't depend on what you put in. It doesn't depend on what you do. It just depends on what God gives you, regardless of what you do. It was a long time ago. So, and we had then too, the 8th and the 13th. The source of das. Okay.
This Mazel is called beloved, for through this level of das, Abba and Ima unite. And from this union, additional power is applied to Zerampim, enabling it to couple with Nukba and impart some of this spirit to her, as is explained in our exposition of the liturgy of the Shema recited before going to sleep, whose purpose is to kill off destructive forces. The flow of the divine consciousness from the super-rational will, Arihampim, into the intellect, Abba and Ima, enables them to couple and produce emotions, Zerampim. In common experience, this means that when a person experiences a true will to do or understand or acquire something, this will produces ideas in his mind about how to do, understand, or acquire the thing. The will drives his mind to gain new insight by motivating the person to exhibit the selflessness that predicates new insight, as we have explained previously, and capture that insight in his conscious mind, reconstructing his worldview in its wake, and thereby producing an emotional response to it. The now supercharged emotions are potent and can produce seed, that means inspiration to Nukba, the power of expression, in order to actualize the imperative originating in the will. That's
Okay.
why I'm a shopaholic. Okay.
So what, alcoholic?
Shopaholic. The
Chocolate.
will.
Shopaholic.
Shopaholic.
Yeah, I shop. Because it tells me, you must.
Yes.
Yes.
That's why you're cut off.
I'm still, I tried
Are
last
you
night.
shopping for flax or for wool?
Yes.
Okay. So
Shoes.
Yes.
Shoes.
No, for me, selflessness.
It's for you.
It's for
No,
you.
no, it's for the
Five
baby.
5 shoes
Walk.
5 pairs.
I have to walk.
at a time.
They don't make them anymore. The purity
Well,
of
if you-
purpose neutralizes the power of the forces of evil, who seek to derail the new divine energy for their own purposes, and as we have seen previously. This is the theme of the nightly recital of the Shema before going to sleep, and in particular, those sections added when it's anticipated that the couple will engage in marital relations.
yeah, there is an extra paragraph that is printed in the siddur to add.
Totally, never saw it.
So that's the review case, right?
Yeah.
You don't worry about it anymore.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Purity of purpose, and it what did I say? It
I'll look tonight.
neutralizes the power forces of evil.
It won't do any good.
So, let's review.
So we've got, let's review.
So this is a review of old stuff. This is like
How about old stuff being the stuff?
no, previously in the book.
That a person, when a person has a will, a desire for something, then he starts thinking logically how to get this thing, and there's new insight.
How to use it.
And you have inspiration.
And then from this
comes to emotions,
the emotions.
And then action, and that's the flow. That's the proper flow.
The emotion, now supercharged emotions, producing an emotional response.
Come that way.
Can produce the inspiration to actualize. Okay, so that's breaking
what I
down.
can do my students to get into.
Well, this
want
is your
to
trick.
learn.
Now you know what you got to do. Just follow the formula.
This is the flow.
In your case, take a 2x4 and hit it with
It follows that Abel,
Hubble.
Hevel.
offer wool in order to restore the influx of supernal dust so that it can also reach Serampin, enabling it to turn to restore this strength that Cain removed from Nukba. That means the spirit referred to above.
Hold on.
Flow down.
So Cain
Hold
offered
on.
the flax and
Cain offered flax.
And Havel offered wool,
so
the former sheep.
So this is the proper way of divine flow that Cain is rectifying.
Cain is disrupting.
I mean, Cain disrupts it, and then Abel rectifies it. Cain disrupts it by robbing. That's why I said robbing Nukva of its proper place and trying to transform it into Zeranpin. Abel comes and offers wool to rectify the process by restoring the das to its or really das to its proper place, so that it can affect that flow down back to the proper way of divine consciousness flow. And that's what
He's
the wool
bringing it. He's changing in Za.
He's
right?
changing it. He's changing das. He's moving it from das to za, and he's cleaning za, which has been corrupted by Cain's action of bringing malchus up
Into za.
Into za. So he's cleaning it. He's cleansing it through das to Zeranpin, enabling it to, in turn, to restore the strength that Cain removed from Nukva. So the flow goes back.
And that's the mazel that we're talking
And
about.
that's the mazel we're talking about.
that's the proper way.
Because its mazel is through this level of das. Mazel
The
comes-
source. What did we say before?
Mazel is called beloved through this level of
When-
das. Abba and Ima unite. See, that's
When what?
Abba and Ima unite there, just above das. The Abba and Ima, the masculine, feminine on the higher plane in the intellect unite there. Abba and Ima unite there and flow then into das.
And what's with it? What happens to this das?
So das then becomes cleansed, and das flows into Zeranpin, which was where the fumble took place, and cleans it up, and then you have the flow from Tiferet down into the other emotions of Zeranpin, into Malchus, and Malchus is restored. So you've got the waters above and the waters below.
Before we say that's what he's coming to now. Before we talked about just a normal, not no corrections, just a regular flow. What it appeared that he said was that when there is a union between za and nukva, then what's imparted is das of mazel.
And this brings it. You have to rectify it.
Normally, when there's no problem.
No, normally you
The
don't.
source of das,
But quite frankly,
Ze'er Anpin.
yeah, you do. But that's a whole different problem.
Ze'er Anpin imparts das
Yeah, no,
to Nukva.
I get it. I'm just.
This is the reason why when there's shalom bias, there's parnasa. Because when the male and female are united properly, there's the mazel can come down properly.
Yeah.
There's blessings.
There's
Yeah,
blessing.
yeah.
No, but this is the spiritual explanation
Yeah, yeah.
for it.
Yeah, and this is the process of that's why I said it's an incredible sin that Cain does. It's an incredible sin. It's like the sin of it derails the waters of above and below.
Well, what he's doing, a lot of men do in relation. This is amazing advice for marriage in general, because what Cain's doing is he's treating a woman like a man. He's treating, a lot of times within marriages, when there's a pagam, when there's a warp in a marriage, it's because a man is treating the woman like a man, or the woman's treating the
Yes,
man like
it
a
could
woman.
go both ways.
Yeah.
Emotionally.
And our
He's being
society,
emotionally, the man's too sensitive.
Right.
whole
And the
major
man is
problem
treating the woman
today
like
is
he's
because of
Like
this
one of the boys.
process.
It's like one of the boys.
And then they don't have parnasa.
And then
What-
this is what Cain's
Deeper,
doing.
it's
He's not,
deeper.
and then there's no parnasa.
And
he
it-
gets the parnasa.
wait, it's
was waiting for that.
This is one of the societal problem today.
Yes.
Where
Exactly.
men are trying to make women something they're not, and women are trying to make men something they're
Physically
not.
and emotionally.
And it creates a terrible imbalance.
Yes.
Terrible.
The
You get parnasa, right? It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. But it's a societal problem. It's a big one.
oh sure.
It's a big one. Big time.
I had some ideas. So a few weeks ago, a couple months ago, I met this guy, Rabbi Lane. He was a rabbi in Panama, and he wanted me to buy a case of his book on marriage.
Where you
So we
started
can give
talking
out. So my wife said he can't do it without reading it. So I read the book. I bought one copy, and I'm just finished it today. And so overall, it's fine. You know, it's good. One point that he makes there that really struck me is he said most people feel that shalom bayis, the harmony, depends on the woman. She's setting the structure in the house. She's setting the stage. He said, and I don't remember how he comes to this conclusion exactly, but he says that it really depends on the man.
Mm-hmm.
The wife is going to do what she's going to do, and she needs that. Generally speaking, if the man treats the wife well and gives her the affection she needs and listens to her and so on, then she's going to reciprocate. And he puts the in a sense, you could say he puts it on the responsibility on the husband is to respond in the right way.
Okay.
I don't have the rationale how he comes to that, but reading that struck me as something unusual. But that may also fit in with what we're reading here.
I think it does.
Yeah.
I really do.
And that's why I'm bringing it up, is that it depends on the Zer Ampin to impart das into Nukva.
Well, that's what you just said is exactly what, not the second part what you just said there, Kabbalistic explanation, but what you said that this rabbi said and is mentioned in his book is exactly what Rav Shalom Arush, Shlita, I don't know
He quotes from
says in
him.
Garden of Peace.
He quotes from
Garden
him.
of Peace.
Have
he
you read it?
essentially- Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
The thesis of the whole book is it's for men only, this book, but essentially it's all in the man's court.
Tell us
The
a little
ball's in
about the
man's
book or about Rabbi Arush.
Rav
A little bit.
Arush is a tzaddik. I mean, he's one of the Breslov leaders in this generation. But this book in particular is about marital peace from the standpoint of a man.
Called The Garden
Garden of Peace.
Garden of Peace.
Garden of Peace.
It's in English?
In English.
Garden of Peace, published by.
Breslov Institute, I think.
Breslau?
I don't know. The truth is, I don't know. I don't know who publishes it,
Oh,
but it's very easy to find.
Yeah,
It's
Google.
incredible.
Google
Yeah,
knows.
it's really, really special. Essentially, what it does is it lays out, like you can tell when you're reading it that he's well versed in Kitvei Ari, because it lays out how a man is supposed to act and how a woman is supposed to act. It's not, you don't even have to go into Kabbalah to figure it out. It's also in Shulchan Aruch that a man's not allowed to raise his voice at his wife. He's always supposed to be happy around his wife. He's supposed to give her gifts. He's supposed to speak gently to her. He's not supposed to make her cry. He's supposed to honor her. It's in the ketubah. But then when you go into the deeper explanation, it's,
Very good, thank you.
yeah.
There are like
Get on
3
Amazon.
works that
Amazon?
he keeps quoting,
Yeah.
and one of them is
Yeah,
this
it's amazing.
is Rabbi
It's
Arush.
an amazing book.
It's available on Amazon. Alan just picked it up.
How much, Alan?
Probably 20 something.
2146 on for paperback.
Does it say who the publisher is?
No, just the author.
Okay. All right. So now,
Doesn't say the publisher.
Hevel is trying to restore Zeir Anpin to do the right thing by bringing wool.
Mm-hmm.
You read. Alan, you want to continue? Middle of 627.
Therefore, Howell offered some of the choicest of his flock. This is because, as we have explained, Cain's sin caused a blemish in Malchus of Yetzirah.
One moment, because the vegetable kingdom corresponds to Yetzirah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the wool is probably going to correspond to, from the animal,
Bria.
from Bria.
Bria.
So we'll see. So, okay, continue.
So Howell had to elicit divine energy from the supernal das of Arich Anpin of Yetzirah. And it is known that all the power of this level of das is present within Yesod of Yetzirah, for Yesod is called alive. Thus, the inner essence of das is Yesod. Yesod is called alive because the male sexual organ to which Yesod corresponds anatomically exhibits growth and quasi-independent movement. This, in turn, is so because the mind, emotion, and body's power is concentrated here, as it is
As it prepares.
as it prepares to be transferred to the feminine principle. In order for the spirit of Malchus to be replenished, Malchus must receive from Yesod. As we saw, the inner life force of Malchus of Yetzirah is, allegorically, the power of the earth to produce vegetation. In order for this to be replenished, it must receive from the next higher form of life up, that is, from the animal kingdom. Therefore, Havel had to bring an animal offering. Yesod is called alive, which is also the word for animal, both being translation of the word chai.
Chai. So he's bringing from the animal kingdom. And it's Yesod.
Right?
Yeah. Let's do
This-
one more thing.
This is the mystical essence of sheep, because the word for sheep, keves, permutes to spell the word for lie down, shechav, indicating that it alludes to the supernal lying down. This is the mystical meaning of the verse: fill the world and subdue it, kivshua, and the illusion of the conquered one who lies with her.
One moment. So, keves, kaf beis sin, sheep. Shin chaf beis is shachav, is lie down, which is also a euphemism for intimacy. And it's also just the regular lie down. And chaf beis shin is to conquer. So it says, fill the world and subdue it. Just conquer the world, subdue the world. So we have three meanings from these letters in different permutations, different scrambles.
Keves is Kaf Beis Shin. Shchav is Shin Kaf Beis. The lying down here is euphemism for marital relations, as seen from the quote at the end of the paragraph. The root to subdue, kavash, is related to the word for sheep, keves, because sheep are easily subdued and led.
One has a shin and one has sin.
Sin. Here, however, the relation is seen in the opposite way. The sheep, yesod, is the male who conquers the female and lies down with her. Inasmuch as the word for world, eretz, alludes to malchus, the phrase fill the world and subdue it evokes the interpretation fill the feminine principle with male vital seed in marital relations with her. Okay.
Gets better.
Hold
Yeah.
on.
I don't think we're going there today, though.
I think we better.
I think we better
Stop
I see
here.
what's coming. I think
It's
we-
coming.
I
It's
think we
coming
better
big
stop
time.
before
That's
we,
what I said. It gets better. It gets better.
We got to stop. It'll take too long
This
when we get
next
into
one
that.
is pretty incredible.
It's pretty. Yeah, yeah.
So what do we read?
Actually, the murder that occurred was not so much of jealousy.
The murder?
The murder of Cain killing Abel was not because of jealousy of the offerings. There was a woman involved. That's why
What was the woman involved?
sisters. They both had twin sisters. And there was an argument.
Hevel had
They both had twin
two
sisters.
twin sisters. He had triplets.
He had two, and Cain only had one.
And Cain
He wanted-
said that being that he's older,
He wanted.
he should marry the second one.
He wanted. Yeah.
There is somewhere I saw that like every incident in Bereshis was over a woman, was over men and women's stuff.
Yep.
There,
It was truly it was in a fit of passion.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't so much because of the offering.
No. Yeah.
it does say, just to put into context, that Hevel lived 49 days. Don't remember what the significance is. I think it's because Cain said,
49
That-
days.
yeah, Hevel only lived 49. He was the day he was killed. He was 49 days old.
How could they bring offerings?
He was advanced for his age. Wow.
He was born as an adult.
As adult.
He was an adult.
They were both.
They were both born adults.
So he, just to put into context, and I think we learn it from Lemech. I don't want to miss it. It's a good joke.
It's a hell of a labor.
I don't think that later Lemech, who ended up killing Cain, said Kivish Vasayim Yukam Cain, that Cain lived sevenfold.
Mm-hmm.
I think based on that, we learned that Hevel lived a total of 49 days.
Remember Lemon killing him.
Well, a day could be like 1,000
I was
days.
just thinking about
Yeah,
that.
we don't know how long the day was. Yeah.
And a day was 24 hours, just like it is today.
Okay.
You can take that to the bank. All right. Thank you all.
To be continued.